हाँ लैपटॉप ల్యాప్టాప్ ఛార్జింగ్ లేకుండా ఏం చేస్తుంది క్లాస్ లోనే పెట్టుకోవాలి ల్యాప్టాప్ ఛార్జింగ్ అంటే సిఎన్ క్లాస్ లో ఛార్జింగ్ పెట్టుకుని క్లాస్ వినాలని ఫిక్స్ అయ్యి వెనకాల ఫ్యాన్ ఈ ఫ్యాన్ ఆఫ్ చేయాలి ఫ్యాన్ ఆఫ్ So what is last? What is the name of unit 3? Where? CN unit 3 name. అక్కడ చూడరా యూనిట్ 3 నేమ్ అడిగితే అక్కడ చూస్తా నేమ్ అడుగుతుంది నేను I am asking name of the chapter or name of the unit. You don't know? చాప్టర్ పేరు కూడా తెలీదా ఫస్ట్ చాప్టర్ నేమ్ ఏంటి సెకండ్ చాప్టర్ నేమ్ నెక్స్ట్ నెక్స్ట్ నువ్వే కదా ఇంకెవరున్నారు ఉన్న ఐదు కదా మనకి ఇట్లా ఆఫ్లైన్ క్లాస్ అరే నేను అడుగుతున్న చాప్టర్ నేమ్ మీకు అర్థమవుతుంది కదా నేనే ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయమంటలే ఏం ఐఎమ్ సింప్లీ ఆస్కింగ్ వాట్ ఈస్ ద నేమ్ ఆఫ్ యూనిట్ 3 నెక్స్ట్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ లేయర్ సెకండ్ చాప్టర్ నేమ్ ఫస్ట్ చాప్టర్ ఇంట్రడక్షన్ టు సిఎన్ అరే మన చాప్టర్ పేరు తెలీదా లుక్ ఎట్ మీ నేమ్ ఆఫ్ ది చాప్టర్ కూడా తెలీదా ఎంతవరకు ప్లీజ్ ఆన్సర్ మై క్వశ్చన్ అట్లీస్ట్ సబ్జెక్ట్ నేమ్స్ చెప్తారా కంప్లీట్ నేమ్స్ ఈ సెమిస్టర్లో చెప్తారా ఫోర్త్ సెమిస్టర్ సబ్జెక్ట్ నేమ్స్ ఫుల్ నేమ్ ఫుల్ ఫామ్స్ 100% కాన్ఫిడెంట్ గా చెప్తా ఉన్నాను కూర్చోండి ఫుల్ ఫామ్స్ నాట్ షార్ట్ ఫామ్స్ నాట్ సిఎన్ ఐఓటి డా లాగా మాట్లాడండి ఐఎమ్ ఆస్కింగ్ నేమ్ ఆఫ్ ది సబ్జెక్ట్స్ at the middle of the semester. ఆన్సర్ చెప్తే మనం క్లాస్లోకి వెళ్ళిపోదాం చెప్పలేరా సబ్జెక్ట్ నేమ్స్ చెప్తా చెప్పు రిటర్ ఒకసారి పక్కన చెప్పు డిస్క్రీట్ మ్యాథ్స్ నేను చెప్తాను, నువ్వు చెప్పిన తర్వాత నేను సబ్జెక్ట్ పేరు చెప్తాను. నేను ఆ సబ్జెక్ట్ చదవకపోయినా నేను చెప్తాను. అప్పుడు నువ్వు కరెక్టా నేను కరెక్టా డిసైడ్ చేద్దాం. సబ్జెక్ట్ నేమ్ అంటే నేమ్ మాకు కదరా, అవునా కదా? యూజువల్గా చెప్పు. ఇప్పుడు నీ పేరు ఉంది, నా పేరు ఉంది, పేరు స్టాండర్డ్ కదా, ఓకేనా? నువ్వు డిస్క్రీట్ మ్యాథ్స్ అంటే డిస్క్రీట్ మ్యాథ్స్ అనే సబ్జెక్ట్ నేమా? డిస్క్రీట్ మ్యాథ్స్ సబ్జెక్ట్ నేమ్. న్యూమరికల్ మెథడ్స్. న్యూమరికల్ మెథడ్స్ డిస్క్రీట్ మ్యాథ్స్ రెండు సేమా? నెక్స్ట్ ఇంకా ఇంటర్నెట్ ఆఫ్ థింగ్స్ గుడ్. ఇంకా ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్. ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్, కంప్యూటర్ నెట్వర్క్స్, డిజిటల్ ఆల్గోరిథం డిజిటల్ ఆల్గోరిథం కరెక్టా? డిఏ కరెక్టే. ఫుల్ ఫామ్ కరెక్టేనా? అరే డాలర్ డి స్టాండ్స్ ఫర్ డిజిటల్ డిజైన్. నేను ఈసీ ఫ్యాకల్టీ, నాకు తెలుస్తుంది కదా మీ సబ్జెక్ట్ పేర్లు, న్యూమరికల్ మెథడ్స్ అని. ఎందుకంటే మీకు అవుట్ ఆఫ్ 6 సబ్జెక్ట్స్ 4 సబ్జెక్ట్స్ మీకు అదర్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ సర్వ్ చేసే సబ్జెక్ట్స్. 1 is from mathematics department, 3 are from EC department, remaining 2 OAS and మీరు సిఎస్సి ఫ్యాకల్టీ హ్యాండిల్ చేస్తున్నారు. సార్ క్వశ్చన్ చేసుకోండి మీరు. మనం ఇప్పుడు గూగుల్ ఫామ్స్ లేకపోతే ఎల్ఎంఎస్ లో ఎగ్జామ్స్ రాస్తున్నాం, యావరేజ్ మార్క్స్ ఆర్ అరౌండ్ 25, 27, 28, 29. But unfortunately, we don't know the subject names. That is very sad thing in my point of view. Very, very sad situation. Bad situation, not sad, bad situation. But average marks are 25, 26, 27. I'm not commenting on those marks, but still, you should know the fundamental things, right? Not only you in the sense, many of our friends. Is it true or not? Very bad situation. నాకు తెలిసి క్లాస్లో 90% తెలియదు అన్ని సబ్జెక్టులు వెళ్ళిపోవచ్చు, మోర్ దాన్ 90. దట్ టు ఇట్ మిడిల్ ఆఫ్ ది సెమిస్టర్. నెక్స్ట్ మండే యు ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు రైట్ యూనిట్ 3 ఎగ్జామ్, రైట్? అంటే మ్యాథ్స్, డిస్క్రీట్ మ్యాథ్స్ అంటావు, మ్యాథ్స్ అంటావు. అదే మ్యాథమెటిక్స్ 4 ఎలక్టివ్లో న్యూమరికల్ మెథడ్స్ సెలెక్ట్ చేశారు. దేర్ ఆర్ మెనీ అదర్ ఎలక్టివ్స్ ఇన్ మ్యాథమెటిక్స్ 4. లాస్ట్ సెమిస్టర్ మ్యాథ్స్ ఏదో చెప్పు, లాస్ట్ సెమిస్టర్ మ్యాథమెటిక్స్ 3 ఏదో చెప్పు. In third semester also you will be having mathematics 3 elective. ఏం చదివారు దాంట్లో? ఎనీ ఐడియా గుర్తుందా మీకు? ఏమన్నా గుర్తుందా ఏమన్నా? ప్రాబిలిటీ అండ్ స్టాటిస్టిక్స్ అదే ఎలక్టివ్ మ్యాథమెటిక్స్ 3లో. మరి నేనే చెప్తున్నానంటే మీకు మర్చిపోతే ఎట్లా? సో ఒక్కసారి అది ఎవరన్నా కలిసినప్పుడు రిలేటివ్స్ కానీ ఫ్యామిలీ ఫ్రెండ్స్ కానీ కలిసినప్పుడు సో వాళ్ళలో నాకు కొంచెం జాబ్ చేసి చదువుకున్న వాళ్ళు కాబట్టి అడిగారు అనుకో, ఏం చెప్తారా మీరు? మీ ఫాదర్ ముందే అడుగుతారు, మీ మదర్ ముందే అడుగుతారు, ఏం చెప్తారు? ఇక్కడ నేను అడిగానంటే సరే మన క్లాస్మేట్సే కాబట్టి సర్లే సార్ అడిగాడు మనం చెప్పేవి చెప్పలేదు తర్వాత. అలాంటివి కొంచెం బేసిక్ థింగ్స్ అనేది మన మైండ్లో ఎప్పుడు ఉండాలి. ఉదయం లేచి వాట్సాప్ చూస్తున్నామా, నైట్ పడుకునే ముందు వాట్సాప్ చూస్తున్నామా, లేవగానే ఎవడోడు మెసేజ్ పెట్టేటి స్టేటస్ చూస్తామా, అన్ని ఫాలో అప్ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు సబ్జెక్ట్ నేమ్స్ మనం ఎందుకు గుర్తుకోవడం? ఒకసారి ఆలోచించండి. నేను అంటున్నానని కాదు కానీ, ఓకేనా? నెక్స్ట్ టైం ఎవడు అడిగినా సబ్జెక్టుల పేర్లు చెప్పలేదంటే మాత్రం ఆ వీడియో కట్ చేస్తాం. రిఫరెన్స్ కింద మనకి వస్తుంది పేజ్ ఇప్పుడన్నా మనకే మనకి వస్తుంది, ఎక్కడికో ఫార్వర్డ్ చేసుకోవాలి కాదు. ఓకేనా? నెక్స్ట్ టైం వెళ్ళి అడుగుతాను నేను ఎప్పుడు బేసిక్ థింగ్స్, దానిలో కంటెంట్ దాని తర్వాత నేమ్స్ అని తెలియాలి. కూర్చోం. So in the last class we have seen the causes of congestion, scenario 1 as well as scenario 2. Today we are going to see congestion cause scenario number 3. Here also we are assuming there are 4 senders. The earlier 2 scenarios, 4 senders, multi-hop path between senders. You can observe here there are connections between these modes, from host A to host C pink color, host A to host B red color, host D to host B using blue color, then host D to host B green color using some other path. So in this we are considering there are 4 hosts and 4 routers present in this network, and here we are considering timeout as well as retransmission. Both we are considering in this scenario 3. Here lambda in is representing original data, lambda in bar is representing original data plus retransmitted data. So what happens as lambda in and lambda in bar increases? So as the red lambda in increases, here you can observe from host A to host C we are using red color path. Okay, through one router. In that router we are considering finite shared output link buffers. We are considering only finite number of buffers at that particular router. If that lambda in and lambda in bar are increasing, the same route is also used by host D as well as host B to transmit the information. You can line it is used to exchange the information between host B and host D. So whenever lambda in and lambda in bar is increasing, all arriving blue packets, why? Because blue packets are also crossing through the same router in this scenario. So all arriving blue packets at upper queue are dropped because lambda in and lambda in bar increasing. If lambda in input data, original data and original data plus retransmit data are increasing, then there is a possibility of loss of packets, blue colored packets. Then the blue throughput becomes 0. This is another cause of congestion. Here we are named it as scenario 3. So because of that reason, when packets are dropped, there is a possibility of loss of packets because lambda in and lambda in bar are increasing. Any upstream transmission capacity used for that packet was wasted. The transmission capacity was wasted because of loss of packets. So this is scenario 3, congestion scenario 3. So there are 2 approaches for this congestion control. In flow control, we have considered only one method where the receiver controls the sender in flow control by sending free buffer space to the sender. But in the case of congestion control, here we are considering 2 approaches. One is end-to-end congestion control. Second one is network assisted congestion control. So in end-to-end congestion control, there is no feedback from the network because here there is no role of network in this congestion control. It is end-to-end congestion control between processes, and here the congestion is input from the end system observed loss as well as delay. Here the approach is taken by transmission control. So but in the case of network assisted congestion control, there is a feedback from the network devices. Routers provide feedback to the end systems. So network layer nothing but it consists of network components like routers. So whenever you are connecting two different networks, you will use routers. So in network adjusted congestion control, the routers are nothing but network components. Routers provide the feedback to the end system. But in the case of end system congestion control, there is no feedback from the network. But in the case of network adjusted control, there is a feedback from routers. So here we are using single bit indicating congestion. These are the various bits which are used for indicating the congestion in network adjusted congestion control. So these are the two approaches you need to keep in mind. These are the congestion control approaches. One is end-to-end congestion control. Second one is network adjusted congestion control. Now let us look at one case study, that is available bitrate congestion control, ATM available bitrate congestion control. So here if the sender's path is underloaded, the sender should use only the available bandwidth between to transmit the information. If the sender's path is congested, the sender throttle to minimum guaranteed rate. If there is a congestion, definitely there is a data rate guarantee will be minimal. If there is no congestion, definitely the sender can use all the available bandwidth in the network. So that's why here, if you look at here, if the sender's path is underloaded, the sender can use all the available bandwidth. If it is congested, then there is a minimum guarantee of delivery between sender as well as receivers. While coming to resource management cells, we are going to use these resource management cells as part of this available bitrate congestion control. So these are the resource management cells are sent by the senders interspersed with the data cells. Here we are going to keep these resource management cells along with the data cells, and these are sent by the sender. So if you look at the bits in the resource management cells set by the switches, here switch is also part of a network. So there are two bits here, one is NI bit, second one is CI bit. This NI bit is used to increase the data rate, CI bit is used for indication of congestion. If there is a congestion, we are going to set this CI bit to 1. If NI bit is set to 1 means there is a possibility of increasing the rate in the network. So RM cells returned to sender by receiver with bits intact. So initially these RM cells are sent by the sender to the receiver. Finally, these are returned to the sender by the receiver, which bits we are going to use only two bits here, NI bit and CI bit. CI bit for congestion control and NI bit for to increase the data rate. If there is a mild congestion, you will use NI bit. If there is a congestion, you will use CI bit. So if you look at here, the red cells indicating resource management cells. The other cells are actual data cells. Here initially these RM cells are incorporated into the data cells and these are sent to the receivers. So here it is a 2-byte explicit rate field in RM cell. This congestion shift may lower ER value in a cell. If there is a no congestion, the ER cell is set to 0. And here will be one more bit, that is EFCA bit in data cells. These are set to 1 in congested states. If data cell preceding RM cell has EFCA set, the receiver set CA bit in return to RM cell, that indicating that there is a congestion in the network. So initially these, as I told you, RM cells are sent from sender to receiver initially. Then these are returned to the sender by indicating CA bit to 1, where CA bit is indicating congestion in the network. Finally, the last topic in chapter 3 is in unit 3 is TCP congestion control. So earlier you have seen congestion control principles. You have seen scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3, and 2 approaches little bit. Okay. Now one is network adjusted, second one is end-to-end congestion control methods. So the TCP congestion control here the approach is initially the sender increase the transmission rate, the window size, probing for usable bandwidth, that is to use the maximum, to use the entire bandwidth in the network until loss of packets occurs. So until loss occurs, the sender always increase the transmission rate. Transmission rate in the sense here, window size. The additive increase means increase CWND by 1 maximum MSS stands for maximum segment size. Maximum segment size for every RTT until loss detected. Here we are going to increase the transmission rate initially until the loss occurs, until loss of packet in the network. In the multiplication, nothing but decrease. Then cut the CWND in half after loss. Simple ma here. Initially, the sender always increase the transmission rate until loss occurs, until loss of packets. Whenever there is a loss, then simply half the data rate, cut the data rate. So additively increase the window size initially until loss occurs. Then cut the window size into half. Look at here, this is initially increasing, then whenever there is a loss, then cut the CWND value into half. So it's like a sawtooth behavior. It's not exactly sawtooth, it's like a sawtooth behavior. Simple here, increase the data rate until loss occurs. Whenever there is a loss, reduce it to half. And these are the packets at the center side. So green color are already sent packets and as well as already acknowledged packets. Yellow color sent packets to the receiver, but not yet acknowledged. We look at the last byte sent, the rightmost yellow color one. This is the last byte that is sent to the receiver. You can look at this CWND, that's meant window size. So initially we will increase the window size. Okay, in exponential form, linearly. Whenever there is a loss, we will reduce that window size. Simple. Here the sender limits the transmission. If you look at here, CWND is a dynamic function. So initially we will increase this function. Whenever there is a loss, we will have that value. So perceived network congestion. So if we look at the TCP sending rate, roughly send CWND bytes and wait for RTT for acknowledgements, then send more bytes. So send the CWND bytes, wait for what is RTT full form? What is the full form of RTT? Round trip time. So send the CWND bytes, wait for round trip time, then send the more number of bytes. If you look at the here, the rate is CWND by round trip time bytes per second. So initially TCP slow start. Look at in the scenario. So initially CWND is only one segment, maximum segment size. Then double CWND for every RTT. So RTT means we need to wait. We'll send one packet, one segment in this scenario, and wait for RTT. So after every RTT, double the data rate. Look at in this scenario, we are sending one packet, one segment. Wait for RTT, then double the data rate. We are sending two segments. Then wait for RTT, then double the data rate, four segments. Right? One segment, wait for RTT, double the data rate. Two segments, wait for RTT. Four segments, wait for RTT. 8 segments, wait for RTT. Like that. So initially, one segment, double CWND for every round trip time. It can be done by incrementing CWND for every acknowledgement received. So whenever there is a positive acknowledgement from the receiver, then double the CWND value. Okay, here initially we are starting slowly by sending one segment. Whenever there is a positive acknowledgement or after RTT, double the data rate, double the value in the CWND function. 2 segments, acknowledgement 4 segments, acknowledgement 8 segments. So it is nothing but TCP slow start. So initial rate is slow, but ramps up exponentially fast. So it's like exponentially increasing function. So when congestion begins, increase the data rate exponentially until first loss event. So we'll simply increase the data rate till the first loss of packets. First class. Till that will increase exponentially. Then detecting and reacting to loss. So earlier we have seen slow start and increasing exponentially till the loss of packets or segments. So here the loss can be indicated by time mode. So CWND is set to one segment, maximum segment size. So maximum segment size. So whenever there is a loss, reduce the segment size. Reduce the segment size. So window then grow exponentially to threshold, then grows linearly, as in slow start. Loss indicated by 3 duplicate acknowledgements. The last class we have seen. Whenever there is a 3 duplicate acknowledgement from the receiver, that means that the particular segment is lost. The sender has to retransmit that particular segment based on the 3 duplicate acknowledgements. Here duplicate acknowledgements indicate network is capable of delivering some segments. So then CWND is cut in half window, then grows linearly. So this one, this thing increases linearly. Whenever there is a loss, eject. Okay. Then half that CWND value, then increase. Cut in half window, then grow linearly. Switching from slow start to CA. Can anyone tell what is the full form of CA? Guess. Any guess? C stands for collision, A stands for avoidance, collision avoidance. So if you look at here, as I told you initially, we are increasing the rate exponentially. Whenever there is a loss, reduce that CWND to off. So whenever the CWND is reduced to off, then it grows linearly. It grows linearly. So when should that exponential increase switch to linear? Whenever there is a loss, CWND is set to off. Whenever the CWND is set to off, then it becomes linear from that point. When CWND gets to off of its value before timeout. So when it is set to off, then it moves linearly. It increases linearly. So initially slow start, then congestion avoidance. So whenever there is a loss, we need to reduce that CWND to off. Then fast recovery. Fast recovery is nothing but whenever there is a loss of packets, the receiver sends 3 duplicate acknowledgements. Whenever the sender receives 3 duplicate acknowledgements, then it retransmits that particular segment. That is nothing but fast recovery. Duplicate acknowledgements for retransmission of lost packets. So this is the congestion control scenario in transmission control protocol. Slow start you have seen already, right? send the segments, wait for the acknowledgements, then double the CWND value, then wait for RTT, double the CWND value. If you look at the throughput in this TCP, so the average throughput as a function of window size and RTT. So here we are ignoring slow start. Assume that always data should we are sending data from sender to receiver. W is nothing but window size. Is usually measured in terms of number of bytes. Where loss can be occurred, the average window size is in flight bytes means in sequence bytes is 3/4 of the window. Then the average throughput in this TCP is 3/4 into window size per round trip time. Per round trip time. So these are some of the things based on the previous expressions. TCP throughput. Well, look at this TCP fairness. The goal of this fairness is if k TCP sessions share same bottleneck. So if we consider the network, there are many number of TCP connections within the network. If k number of TCP sessions share the same link, same bottleneck link of bandwidth R, here we are assuming that the link bandwidth is R. If k number of sessions are sharing the same link with a capacity of R, each should have the average rate of R by k. If only one device is using that link, the throughput is R. If two devices are sharing, R by 2. If 10 devices are sharing, R by 10. If k number of sessions are sharing, that is nothing but R by k. The average rate is R by k. So bottleneck in the sense here many number of nodes are or sessions are using the same link. The router capacity is R. So why is TCP is for two competing sessions? One is additive increase gives slope of 1 as throughput increases. Initially that is nothing but slow start, then exponentially increasing the data rate. Multiplicative decreases throughput proportionally. So whenever the multiplicative in the sense whenever there is a loss of packets, we assume that value in the CWND command is reduced to off. That will called as multiplication. That multiplication process decreases the throughput. The additive process increases the throughput. Congestion avoidance additive increase. If there is a loss, decrease the window size by a factor of 2. Then additive increase. Then off window size. Additive increase of the window size. Okay. Additive means increasing. Additive increase. Congestion avoidance. If there is a loss, decrease the window size by factor of 2. Then again increase the window size, additive. Then multiplicative, decrease the window size. Additive, multiplicative, additive. So usually multimedia applications often do not use TCP. So whenever there is a multimedia application, generally that uses UDP instead of TCP. In UDP, it's not reliable data transfer, but TCP is reliable data transfer. If it is a multimedia application, the packet loss is tolerant. If there is a delay also, that is tolerant in multimedia applications. That's why, so instead of TCP, multimedia applications uses UDP. So you can send audio or video at constant rate. Tolerate packet loss. The packet loss is tolerated if it is a multimedia application. That's why fairness parallel TCP connections. Applications can open multiple parallel connections between two devices. Multiple parallel connections between two devices or two hosts. Usually web browsers do this. They use multiple parallel connections. For example, link of rate are with 9 existing connections. If the new app asks for 1 TCP, the data rate is R by 9 becomes, so that way it uses multiple parallel connections for different applications. So these are the things we discussed as part of our unit 3 in textbook. It is chapter 3. So what are the principles behind transport layer services? Multiplexing, demultiplexing, reliable data transfer RDT, then flow control, simple flow control. Here the receiver controls the sender by sending RWND value, where RWND is nothing but free buffer space available at the receiver. Then congestion control. Okay. So instantiation implementation we have not seen as part of our syllabus. We have seen what are the services of UDP and what are the services of TCP. The next we are going to discuss as part of chapter 4. Unit 4 is leaving the network edge. Network edge is a part of application layer and transport layers into the network core. We are going to discuss network layer. So what is the difference between network layer and transport layer, and what are the services of network layer? So network layer is responsible for node to node delivery, but the transport layer is responsible for process to process delivery or end to end delivery. End to end delivery. So these are the things we are going to discuss as part of Unit 4. Unit 4 we are going to study network layer. So network layer, what are the network layer service models and what is meant by forwarding and routing, that is forwarding versus routing. So these are the two responsibilities of network layer, important responsibilities. How a router works and what are the routing protocols. Routing protocols. So these are the main things we are going to discuss as part of chapter 4. So here we need to see what is virtual circuit and datagram networks, virtual circuit versus datagrams, and what is inside a router. Then IP Internet Protocol. We have seen IPv4 in our laboratory. So what is the size of the IPv4 addressing? Size. మీరు వాల్యూస్ ఎంటర్ చేసి చెక్ చేశారు కదా, ఎన్ని బాక్సులు ఎంటర్ చేశారు అడ్రస్కి? సబ్నెట్ అడ్రస్, ఐపీ అడ్రస్ రెండు ఉన్నాయి. ఎన్ని బాక్సెస్లో వాల్యూస్ ఎంటర్ చేసినట్టు? 4 అంటే ఈచ్ వన్ హౌ మెనీ బిట్స్? In terms of bits, I am asking. Each box ఎన్ని బిట్స్ ఉంటాయి maximum? మనం యాక్చువల్గా మనం చేసింది అదే IPv4 addressing uses decimal format. మనం ఎంటర్ చేసినట్టు ఈచ్ బాక్స్ లో టోటల్ 32 bits, 32 by 4, 8 bits. So each one is 1 byte. 1 byte and 8 bits. What is the value of 2 power 8? What is the value of 2 power 8? ఆలోచించి చెప్పండి. 2 power 5 ఎంత? 6, 7, 8, 256 and 0 to 255. So IPv4 address size is 32 bits. So here we are going to see what is IPv4 addressing. So here we are going to see what is that format. IPv4 addressing ICS. Which guess it? IPv6 size. V4 means version 4. V6 means version 6. What is this address size? IPv6 address size. Those who are online, please. These are the things we are going to discuss as part of Unit 4. మన యూనిట్ నేమ్స్ అన్ని ఫస్ట్ వన్ ఇంట్రడక్షన్, రిమైనింగ్ అన్ని లేయర్ నేమ్సే కదా. అప్లికేషన్, ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్, నెట్వర్క్. వాట్ ఇస్ ద లేయర్ బిలో ద నెట్వర్క్ లేయర్? నేమ్ ఆఫ్ ద లేయర్ బిలో ద నెట్వర్క్ లేయర్. నెట్వర్క్ లేయర్ కింద ఏముంటుంది? అరే మీరు ఓఎస్ఐ మోడల్లో లేయర్స్ పేర్లు కూడా చెప్పలేదు. అది డేటా కమ్యూనికేషన్ చదివిన తర్వాత. డేటా కమ్యూనికేషన్ చదవకపోతే సరే అనుకోవచ్చు. లీస్ట్ లేయర్, బాటమ్ I think I already shared that Unit 3 PPT with you, right? Better group lo me fine. So in our lectures we are going to start Unit 4. Okay, I am ending the meeting now.